So at the risk of becoming a trailer breakdown show, I've decided to talk about the Morbius trailer, which was released on Monday this week. Initially, I didn't want to. Initially, I wanted to talk about whatever the hell WB Montreal is doing with their upcoming Batman game. And spoiler alert, I have no idea, and that is bothering me. Now, I still want to talk about this mysterious Batman game, and I may still do it next week, but I've decided to talk about Morbius this week for two reasons. One, there were actually a lot of really interesting things happening in that trailer. It wasn't what I was expecting at all, and its connections to a larger universe are really appealing. And second, I'm sure there's a lot of you out there who have no idea just what the hell Morbius is. What is this weird ass horror movie, and why is it connected to Spider-Man in any way? Also, why is the bad Joker in it? Well, hopefully I can answer some of these questions today, because honestly, I don't know that much about the character either. Morbius the Living Vampire made his debut in the pages of Amazing Spider-Man issue 101 from back in 1971. He was created by Roy Thomas and Gil Kane and started life as a Spider-Man villain. Now, it is important to note that Morbius isn't a vampire, he's specifically a living vampire. Back when the character originally debuted, the Comics Code Authority was still ruling the industry with an iron fist, and they didn't allow certain horror tropes like undead beings or vampires to be featured in comic books at the time. By 1971, the Comics Code Authority did start to relax its rules a little bit and allow for vampires, but only if they were pretty much just Dracula. To get around this and to try and create a brand new character, Morbius was created to have his abilities come from a science experiment done on himself to try and cure a rare blood disease that he has. The experiments gave him all of the abilities and powers of a vampire without him technically being a traditional vampire, hence the moniker, the Living Vampire. And honestly, that's a pretty rad moniker if you ask me. Now, over the years, Morbius has made several more appearances within the pages of Marvel Comics. He's of course run into Spider-Man a bunch more times after his initial debut. He's teamed up with other monster characters like Werewolf by Night and Man-Thing. And of course, he's come into conflict with Blade a whole bunch because, as we all know,
some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
Fun fact, in the Ultimate Marvel Universe, Morbius is an actual vampire. He is the brother of Dracula. That's not as cool as being a living vampire, if you ask me. Despite his several appearances, Morbius was never really a major player in the Marvel Comics universe. He's only ever had 3 ongoing series, and they never really lasted very long. The longest lasted 32 issues. Otherwise, he's made guest appearances in other books and been part of different anthologies over the years. My one friend who's really into Morbius highly recommends the 2012 series by Joe Keating and Richard Elson. I think it's only 9 issues. I haven't read it, but I'll take his word for it. It looks fancy. Now, Morbius has made appearances outside of the comics, but again, they were never in a major capacity. They were either in support roles or as a bit part in a much larger game. He's DLC for Ultimate Alliance 3, he was a support character in the 16-bit era during the Maximum Carnage game, and his human form, Michael Morbius, appears in the PS4 Spider-Man game. In fact, Morbius's biggest video game role to date might actually be in Spider-Man 3, the movie The Game. Now, that's weird on its own because Morbius wasn't in the movie, but he's only in the Wii and PS2 versions of the game, not the 360 and PS3 versions, aka the main versions of the game. He was relegated to the cheaper last-gen version. Now, aside from video games, Morbius's biggest role outside of the comics is probably from the 1994 Spider-Man animated series. There, he appeared in a couple of episodes both as Michael Morbius and as the Living Vampire. While this appearance was fairly well known, the cartoon really did kind of butcher the character. Instead of making him an actual vampire who sucks blood from his victims like he does in the comics, the show made him take plasma from his victims through little holes in his hands that just suck a little bit out. They're still alive, but they're sick from it. I mean, I get it, it's a kid's cartoon, you can't really have Morbius go full Morbius, but I mean, come on. Kids know what a vampire is. Either make him a vampire or don't include him at all. Now, believe it or not, the idea for a Morbius movie actually dates back almost 20 years, all the way back to the first Blade movie. There's a deleted ending for that movie where Morbius just appears out of nowhere. It was supposed to set up the events of the sequel, but once Guillermo del Toro came on board, those ideas were scrapped. After that, there were of course talks of a Morbius solo movie divorced of Blade, but then again, there are always talks of a Marvel character's solo movie. I mean, remember the Gambit solo movie? That's never coming out, but they talked about that for years. But fast forward to 2020, and now we're officially getting a Morbius solo movie, courtesy of Sony Pictures. They do own the Spider-Man movie rights after all, and intend on using them to their fullest. And since Morbius is technically a Spider-Man character, that means that they have him to use at their disposal. Now, the movie does seem to have a connection to Spider-Man, and we will get to that in a minute. But overall, the trailer did a really impressive job of trying to establish itself as its own thing, trying to establish that Morbius is Morbius, not Spider-Man. The trailer overall is pretty dark. I mean, it starts off with a sick kid being attacked by bullies, which is pretty bleak in and of itself. It goes on to show the effects of Morbius's disease and just what he's willing to do to try and cure it. When he does get his powers, it's portrayed as if he's going through some sort of horrible transformation, not necessarily becoming a superhero. I mean, compare this trailer to the trailers for Venom, another Sony Spider-Man film. Those trailers really showed Eddie Brock as sort of a hapless reporter that gets in over his head, caught in things he doesn't understand. He's not portrayed as an out-and-out bad guy, just as not your typical superhero. Morbius, on the other hand, doesn't really want you to know what he is, at least not yet. They sort of portray him as more of a classic movie monster than they do a superhero in any way. Morbius is trying to better himself and the world, but in the process, his hubris is getting the better of him. So much so that it's actively turning him into an actual monster. And this trailer doesn't look cheap either. Sure, a lot of it is set in a lab like Venom was, but unlike Venom, there's also more varied locations, like the inside of a boat, the weird cave, the boarding school, and the camera work in a lot of these moments are unique enough to suggest that the filmmakers don't want this to be a traditional action movie with some horror elements to it. They want it to be its own unique thing. I'm genuinely impressed with the way this turned out. Seriously, I thought Sony was just gonna fart out another superhero film to make the most of the Spider-Man license, kind of like what they did with Venom, but no. This looks like a lot of work and thought went into it. Whether or not the movie is gonna be as good as this trailer remains to be seen, but as of now, I'm impressed. Now, one of the big things people are talking about this trailer, aside from how hot Jared Leto looks, is its connection to Spider-Man, but not just any Spider-Man, specifically the Spider-Man of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So if it pleases the court, I would like to submit Exhibit A. Jared Leto as Michael Morbius walking past some street art of Spider-Man with the word murderer graffitied over it. Now, just the fact that they're referencing Spider-Man in this movie is kind of a shock. There wasn't a peep of the character in Venom, and Venom is a character who should be referencing Spider-Man a lot more than Morbius should. But specifically, they're not only referencing Spider-Man, they're calling him a murderer. Why? Well, the most logical answer is that this is a reference to Spider-Man Far From Home. At the end of that movie, spoiler alert by the way, Mysterio frames Spider-Man for his death, painting himself as the hero and Spider-Man as the true villain. So the act of just showing a picture of Spider-Man with the word murderer written over him is honestly kind of clever. It's a clever way to reference the character, a character that Sony can legally use in their movies with or without permission from Disney and Marvel, without necessarily stepping on the toes of what Disney and Marvel are trying to do in the MCU. I mean, that's probably why the picture of Spider-Man isn't Tom Holland's Spider-Man, but rather Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. Specifically, it's the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man model from the PS4 game. I'm amazed how many people actually were able to figure that out. So yeah, this seems like Sony's way of having Spider-Man in their Spider-Man adjacent movie without necessarily interfering with what Marvel and Disney are doing with the MCU. I think that's pretty clever, and it keeps things separate but not confusing. Except for the fact that at the end of the trailer, Michael Keaton just shows up.
What's up, Doc?
Okay, no, Michael Keaton being in a vampire movie is not a reference to Batman. It is a reference to Spider-Man Far From Home, specifically his character from that movie, Adrian Toomes, aka the Vulture. Now, sure, there is the possibility that Michael Keaton is playing someone completely different, like maybe he's playing some random supporting character from the Morbius comic that nobody knows. But then why cast him in a Spider-Man adjacent movie after he just starred in a Spider-Man movie? And on top of that, why save his appearance for the end of the trailer if it wasn't supposed to be a big surprise that it's all connected to the MCU? This is a lot to take in. This is a big step. This means that two completely different movie studios that really should hate each other, and as of last year kind of did, are now willing to work together in this capacity. Not only that, again, Sony is under no obligation to work with Disney and Marvel with these characters, but they are, and that's mind-boggling. I don't think that's ever really been done before on a scale like this. Okay, maybe The Incredible Hulk, since that movie was done by Universal, but Marvel owns more of the Incredible Hulk movie rights than they do the Spider-Man movie rights. So this is unique. So then, when exactly does Morbius take place? At the end of Spider-Man Homecoming, Vulture gets locked up in jail. And at the end of the trailer, Vulture's just out and about talking to Morbius. So this, combined with the murderer graffiti, leads me to believe that this movie takes place after Far From Home, sometime after Vulture escapes from prison. Maybe him and Michael Mondo's Scorpion get out and are starting to recruit people for the big show, the Sinister Six. The Sinister Six has always sort of been Sony's white whale, their dream Spider-Man project that they've been trying to get off the ground ever since Sam Raimi left the franchise. They tried to do it with Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, but of course, that all fell apart. Then they tried to find a way to make a Sinister Six movie without Spider-Man, which is a very dumb idea, but now it seems like they found a way to make a Sinister Six movie with Tom Holland, a Spider-Man everybody likes. But Morbius does feel like a weird addition to the Sinister Six, so maybe this cameo is unrelated to that. Maybe it's just a random cameo that sets up a more solid connection to the larger MCU to firmly establish that Morbius and any other Sony Marvel movie is connected to Captain America, Iron Man, and all the characters that you know and love. And if the rumors of Tom Holland appearing in Venom 2 do wind up being true, then we could actually be looking at a much larger integration of the Sony and Disney Marvel universes, a full integration where movies don't have to beat around the bush or hide references to other characters. Now that is, of course, if they can pull it off. Sony is 0-1 when it comes to Spider-Man adjacent superhero films. Venom was not that good, and there is all the possibility in the world that Morbius won't be that good either. But I look at the trailer for Morbius and I'm not filled with the same sort of uncertainty that I was when I watched the Venom trailers. It doesn't look like it's trying to create some random dark superhero. It's not trying to hide its origins. It's just trying to be its own thing. It's trying to stick close to its monster movie lineage that was there in the comics, while also dipping a toe in a larger Spider-Man connected world. So color me optimistic then for the Morbius movie. Never in a million years did I think I would be even remotely interested in a solo movie about the living vampire, and yet here we are. This looks like it could actually be something. If nothing else, Jared Leto does at least look like he's trying in this movie. He's not being all weird about it. He's trying to actually act and give a good performance. Unlike the last time he was in a comic book movie. What did you think of the Morbius trailer? Did you like it? Are you interested in this movie now? Or do you still have no idea just what a Morbius is? Let me know down below or anywhere on the internet. Amazon links will be in the description to some Morbius comics to help you get up to speed with the character before the film's release later this year. The movie does seem to be fairly faithful in terms of the origins of the character, so unless they do something really radical, like make Morbius a vegetarian, reading these comics should help you get a good grasp of who the character is. Don't laugh, there are vegetarian vampires. Do you remember Count Duckula? He was a vegetarian and he had an awesome theme song. And of course, don't forget that we have new videos on this channel every Tuesday and Wednesday, with Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern being Wulff Den Live. So subscribe to see all of that, like this video, and share with a friend who likes Morbius. You're gonna have to do some homework for this one. You're gonna have to go out and find somebody who actually likes the character of Morbius. You can't use my friend though, you gotta get your own. But follow him on Instagram, Exit8Eats. Thank you all for watching. I will see you next time.